coverage you can count on. KOMU 8 News starts now.
We start in Washington, D.C. tonight. President Joe Biden signed a $750 billion bill to reduce inflation. Good evening, everyone. I'm Raina Katko. Thanks for joining us. The measure includes money to fight climate change, plus a $1,000 cap for out-of-pocket prescription drug costs for people with Medicare. The president says the new law will be important to the American people.
And today is part of an extraordinary story that's being written by this administration and our brave allies in the Congress. This law that I'm about to sign finally delivers on a promise that Washington has made for decades to the American people.
The White House says the new law will reduce the deficit and be paid for through new taxes. That includes a 15% minimum tax on large corporations, plus a 1% tax on stock buybacks.
I would not say we're currently in a housing recession right now. Our inventory levels are still very low.
That was the CEO of Columbia's Board of Realtors and his reaction to new reports of a nationwide housing recession. It sounds like good news for Missouri, but the Housing Market Index report by the National Association of Home Builders dropped 6 points this month. KOMU 8's Jaden Jagtiani joins us in the studio to break down what this means if you're trying to buy a home. Jaden.
According to the National Association of Home Builders, this was the 8th straight monthly decline of the Housing Market Index. The last time confidence in building was this low was before COVID, but only for a brief period. And although we aren't in a recession here as of now, there have been declines in other areas. Here's a breakdown of housing numbers in Columbia. As you can see, the amount of homes sold decreased by about 10%, but the average price of each home that was sold was up 13%. And homes under contract are also down 16%. And even though there's lower inventory numbers, it is not a huge concern for the market.
Before the pandemic, we already were facing inventory shortages when it came to available properties on the market. We're still having that problem. It's not as severe as it was about a year ago.
I just think right now, I mean, even though interest rates are going up, they're still not bad. And so I think people are thinking, if I'm going to do this, I need to do this before they do go up.
Both Tui and Andrews say that there are still some issues within the supply chain. You can read the full article on KOMU.com. Live in the studio, Jaden Jagtiani, KOMU 8 News.
The Columbia City Council unanimously voted early this morning to suspend the Citizens Police Review Board from its monthly meetings. 3 of the 9 board members have resigned in the last 2 months. Mayor Barbara Buffalo cited, quote, unwelcome behavior at the most recent review board meeting this month. Now the board can only meet to review appeals or tasks related to those. We spoke with 2 current board members who say they're caught up in the controversy.
The board has 0 training. We're not told how to conduct ourselves in meetings. We're not told how the meetings are supposed to work. We're not told the process.
I think that it's gotten to the point where we've had such turnover month by month, it has gotten somewhat combative.
Mayor Barbara Buffalo also asked for a task force to look into whether the board is functioning as intended. Today, MU Healthcare inaugurated 2 new resources for the Mid-Missouri community. There's now an entrance at University Hospital for kids going to the emergency department. This separates the adult ER patients from the child ER patients. And doctors say they want the facility to be kid-friendly to alleviate anxiety when coming in. To comfort children, Link the therapy dog is present. Plus, there's kid-specific care teams, equipment, and decor.
Coming to the hospital or emergency department can be a scary experience for anyone, especially children. Often it's due to an injury or an illness, so they may be scared at baseline. By providing a warm, friendly environment.
The Children's Emergency Room moved from Keene Street last November as part of MU Healthcare's effort to establish a centralized hospital campus. Construction on the new tower for the Children's Hospital and Birthing Center is on schedule to be completed by the summer of 2024. MU Healthcare also opened a new urgent care clinic in Mexico. It's located in the same facility as the Family Medicine Clinic, which opened last month. The new clinic will provide on-demand medical care 7 days a week. MU Healthcare's head urgent care emergency physician says the clinic will provide more services to people in need.
On-demand acute care services for urgent needs for patients in the community. We'll offer treatments with IV as needed, breathing treatments, on-site X-ray, and also allow connection to the MU campus as well.
He says the Mexico Urgent Care Clinic shares its staffing pool with the Columbia Urgent Care Clinic, so patients will have access to all MU Health Care specialists. In national news, the Biden administration says it will stop buying COVID-19 vaccines, treatments, and tests as early as this fall. Instead, those products will be commercialized and part of the regular health care system. Right now, the government is working through some logistical issues, but officials expect that to be cleared up by next year. The White House says it will continue to invest in pandemic preparedness and the next generation of vaccines. First Lady Jill Biden has tested positive for COVID-19. Her spokeswoman says she is experiencing cold-like symptoms. President Biden, who was recently infected with COVID-19, tested negative today. The First Lady will remain in South Carolina at a private residence. She'll go back to the White House after getting 2 consecutive negative tests. Coming up, people in Sedalia will now have access to faster internet service. Plus, it will now be easier for people to get hearing aids without a prescription. Here's what's happening right now. Boone County Joint Communications is reporting a crash on Creasy Springs Road near Prairie Lane. You're taking a live look at the scene of the incident in Northwest Columbia. Officials say the crash is blocking one lane on a dangerous curve, as you can see there. They ask you to avoid the area if possible. Now to another traffic alert. If you're driving around the MU campus tomorrow and Thursday, you should expect some road closures. Students are starting to move into their dorms, and closures will start at 8:15 a.m. and they'll last until 7 p.m. Also, some streets will operate as one-ways. Those include Virginia Avenue between Lake Street and Rollins Street, Hitt Street between Rollins Street and Lake Street, and Rollins Street going west between Virginia Avenue and Hitt Street. You can find a list of all of those closures on our website at KOMU.com. Socket is expanding its fiber optic internet to residential homes across Sedalia. It was offered the fiber internet to businesses in the area for 7 years. The company's recent success and demand for the high-speed fiber internet led to the build in fiber optic network to cover the entire city. The FDA is issuing a new rule allowing hearing aids to be sold over the counter without a prescription. The goal is to help Americans with hearing issues and also lower the cost of hearing aids in general. The FDA says the rule applies to certain air conduction hearing aids due to the complex nature of hearing loss. One Columbia hearing specialist says he's not convinced this is the best way to get people the care they need.
That presents the conundrum right there is self-diagnosis, and so a lot of people don't even understand hearing loss, what kind of hearing loss they have, what the root cause of it is, and then how to treat it. So I think there's a lot of complexities there.
The rule goes into effect in October, but right now there is no timeline on when you'll see hearing aids on store shelves. It was back to the 70s at Columbia Senior Living Centers. Coming up, how some seniors finally got to enjoy prom. Welcome back. A shortage of trained air traffic controllers is causing long delays in airports. Since Memorial Day weekend, FlightAware reports 23% of U.S. flights have been delayed, an average of 52 minutes. The FAA blames the airlines for most of the issues earlier this summer. The cancellation rate improved once airlines began cutting flights they're overscheduled.
While there are fewer what we call blue sky delays, fewer cases where the weather's fine, everything looks fine, and the airlines still can't make it happen.
The good news is, though, the volatile summer weather usually tapers off in late August. Keeping a credit card balance could cost you a lot more this year. That's according to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which notes credit card interest rates are going up. The Federal Reserve has been raising interest rates to combat inflation this year. The Consumer Watchdog Agency notes more families are using credit cards to pay for necessities like gas and groceries. Thanks, Matt. Families at Solstice Senior Living hosted a 70s-themed prom for their residents today. Many residents had never had the opportunity to attend their prom, so today was a special day for them. They celebrated with a DJ, dancing, balloons, and snacks. Sidney Penton wasn't able to attend his prom because he enlisted in the Marines and broke up with his girlfriend to prepare for the war. Once the staff heard this story, they started planning the prom for him.
We wanted to give back to Sidney and finally let him live his dream of going to senior prom. So we got together and several of us here at the office invited him to prom, and he's now taking us.
Despite Penton missing his prom, he said today made up for it by taking 3 staff members as dates. Coming up, one record-setting running back hopes to replace another record-setting running back to Mizzou. We've got the details next in sports. I'm sure everyone that's moving in tomorrow is excited that they won't be moving in the rain.
Moving in the rain and not moving in the extreme heat. So
Yes.
Really well timed by Mother
Really
Nature.
lucking out. That's our time. Thanks for joining us.
Have a good night.